Today's guest is Neil Hunt, birder / twitcher. He's here to tell us about his life and his experiences travelling the world, getting up to all sorts of mischief in other countries and nearly landing himself in an early grave. So, Neil, if you want to fire away and go.
Yeah, I mean, I should say that I'm
A little introduction would be nice.
privileged to be a birder, but I think most people see it as quite a boring hobby, I suppose, and taken up by sort of retired people. I mind you, I'm not far off retiring myself. But yeah, as a gentle hobby, but certainly in my experience, it's been far from gentle. So yeah, so it all started when I was a kid, playing truant from school. I think that's, I don't know, do you still use truancy as a word for youngsters skiving?
Sagging,
Yeah, sagging
whatever
school.
knows.
So I used to sag school.
Skiving, bunking.
Yeah.
I used to go, well, leave for school as if I was going to school, but wander off into the sand dunes at Ainsdale when I was a kid. And just used to sit there, and I'd have some Rizzler papers and I'd just roll moss or any sort of grass and smoke it. And while I was doing that, for better way, for nothing else to do, I'd noticed the birds coming back and forth. And I just started wondering what they were. So I think at Christmas time, probably when I was about 11, I asked my mum and dad for a pair of binoculars and a book, which I got. And then I very rarely went to school then because they had my bins and my book. And I'd just sit, and I'd sit in the sand dunes, I'd look at birds, I'd look them up in my book, and I'd just start identifying them. I started drawing them. So I still draw them now, do artwork and stuff. But that's how the interest started. And then I think I was 14, 16th of May 1981. So what's that? That's 40 years ago, isn't it? About 40 years ago.
Well, 42.
I was out on the dunes at Ainsdale, and I saw this bird perched on a post, a white-top post. And I thought to myself, oh, it's a kestrel, which you see hovering by the motorways.
I've seen them, they hover, don't they, and fly down.
So I just saw this bird in the distance sat on the post, and I just thought to myself, as a kid, I'll see how close I can get to it, you know. So I sort of shimmied across the deck and through the dunes, and anyway, I got fairly close to it, and I raised my head up, put my binoculars up, and it wasn't a kestrel. It was a bird called a red-footed falcon, which should be in southeastern Europe, rare in Britain. I think only the second one ever in Lancashire at the time, in the northwest of Britain. And because of that, it sort of sparked a bit of a fever on the grapevine of birders around Britain, because it's this really rare bird at Ainsdale, which I'd found, and people came to see it.
And it actually existed. So they knew you found a real bird.
I found this real rare one.
Rare bird.
But the thing that got me, the thing that was probably the turning point from me being sort of interested in birds and not interested in school, into just thinking that birds was going to be for the rest of my life.
Right.
Purely because the guys who came to see this bird, they were saying, who found it, and blah, blah, blah. And there's people saying, oh, it's that guy over there, Neil Hunt. And they were patting me on the back and,
really?
You know, well done. And we have to do a description and send it into the British Birds Rarities Committee, and it has to get verified and all this sort of stuff. And it goes down in a history, essentially. Yeah. And those people tapping me on the back and saying, well done.
How old were you, by the way?
14.
14?
Yeah.
So you were a little kid, and these are grown men who have been in this profession for like most of their lives. They're trained up to. So you're a little kid who's identified exactly this rare bird.
Yeah.
By the teeth that, hang on a second, this is like a rare bird from this part of the world, which a kid isn't supposed to really know.
The nearest place it should have been would be, say, Turkey.
Yeah, so a kid of 14 doesn't really know this.
No.
So they're like probably thinking, how the hell does he know?
Yeah. What were they saying to you?
Time, sorry.
When they were patting you on the back and that?
So they patted me on the back and they were saying, well done. And through my school years, none of my teachers had ever said to me, well done. So because of that, I felt I sort of belonged and I'd done well. And I thought, well, is this what it's like? People giving you compliments, which I wasn't getting at school because I wasn't very good, but I wasn't there a lot. I thought, this is it. That's it. This is what I want to do now. I just want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to watch birds, see birds, chase birds, see as many as I can. So from that point, I started, I think even earlier, a little bit sort of in the very early 80s, like 1980, 81, when I found that. I was hitchhiking around the country, hitching down to Cornwall, hitching to Scotland, hitchhiking all around, chasing birds that other people had found. So twitching, essentially. But always going bird watching on my days out of school, or you know, just making the most of my time with reading about them, drawing them. And then in later years, as I've got older, obviously you keep drawing stuff, but nowadays with the likes of cameras, especially with digital, where you have memory cards, you don't have to film anywhere, you can take as many pictures as you can.
Oh, you've got drones now as well.
Oh yeah, I'm not a great drone lover, to be honest with you. But
the drones scare them off.
Yeah, they're just environmentally not great. The impact in certain, like in, you know, forests and stuff like that. Sort of, and my sort of Southeast Asia is where I love. I love Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia. I've been 5 times now to Thailand, 4 times to Malaysia. Been to Japan.
Really?
Australia twice, India twice.
No way.
So I just love Southeast Asia.
All these far eastern countries, you've been to like plenty of time, not even once, like loads.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Well, I
shocking
keep going back
because-
for birds that I miss. So no, earlier you were talking
But
about
you're getting
pheasant.
to, it's not just the birds, you're getting to actually experience the culture and
Cultures.
the traditions
Absolutely.
of all of them countries.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're very rich in culture and tradition
Yeah.
compared to the Western countries. Malaysia, what you mentioned, is rich in culture and
Yeah,
tradition.
food as well.
And
I
food
love
as
the
well. That's what
food.
I'm saying. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Apparently it's really beautiful,
Beautiful,
there.
superb.
You know, the cities and everything is supposed to be beautiful. I've never been,
Well, to be
but I've
fair-
just by you mentioning these certain countries, I'm like, I've gone into envy. Like, what?
Yeah, well,
This
I
guy
took
like
my-
no,
I took
5
my-
times, not once, 5.
I took my wife to Malaysia and to Kuala Lumpur, and she just fell in love with Kuala
Really?
Lumpur.
Your
yeah.
missus of what? She been there once only?
Yeah, she's been there twice now.
Twice, and she fell in love.
She
and
hates
really-
birds, but she loves travel.
Wow.
So, in
She
fact, I
is
have no idea
beautiful.
why she's with me.
She'll
if I'm
see herself
honest.
in competition with the.
Do you
the
know,
birds, won't she?
sometimes, I mean, I'm really embarrassed to say this, but sometimes when it comes to birds and my wife, sometimes she takes second place,
Yeah.
which she should never do because she's lovely and I do love her dearly. But sometimes the draw of the bird is just too much for me to go.
Yeah,
And
but
I've been in
that's just your
situations.
passion from the heart, where
Yeah.
you've got a passion. But at the end of the day, your wife is your companion. She
Yeah.
loves you because she sees a good man, an
well-
honest man, and probably
I'm
true.
not sure she does.
Wait till we get into some of the stuff.
Oh, I've left her places. I've left her at weddings and had phone calls, and I left her in Turkey. I've left her in Mexico. I left her in Spain.
How long have you been married?
Nearly 40 years.
Where's the main place you left her?
Steve, I've met her
Yeah, but that's
everywhere.
only where you've left her in the hotel whilst you've gone gallivanting to
Yeah, but
do the
not. I mean,
expeditions.
I've sort of, in the past, have sort of planned trips with one thing in mind, which was maybe to see a bird, and sort of blagged her that really we're going there because it's just a nice place. I took her to Le Mans in France just for a nice romantic weekend, but really there was a wall creeper there, and I just wanted to see the wall creeper, even though she had a nice weekend.
Yeah.
When I unpacked my little travel bag, she said, "What are they doing in there?" It's my binoculars and my camera. And I went, "Oh, Jan," I said, there's a wall creeper here. And she said, "I knew it." Well, anyway, but I left her in, I shouldn't talk about leaving her in places, but in Turkey, we were staying at Dalaman in Turkey. And there was a bird just reported before we went, so I hadn't pre-planned the trip, but there was a bird that turned up in eastern Turkey, and I thought, I could just nip and see that whilst I'm there. It's quite convenient that we're in Turkey.
Yeah.
But then when I looked on the map, it was about 500 kilometres away where the bird was. So I had to obviously hire a car, but it took me 3 days to go and see it.
Wow.
Leaving her at the hotel. But she was cool with it. and we saw the birds, so that helps,
Yeah.
you know.
But the thing is, the way I see it, look, birds give you an excuse to travel into a different part of the world. If your companion is coming with you, that's a bonus because that's comfort. Now, you can gallivant away and do your personal business and go see the bird and take pictures or whatever. They get to still enjoy the culture, the warmth of the country, the traditional and cultural sort of aspect, and enjoy that environment.
Without their husband.
Yeah, but the thing, it doesn't
Who's away?
matter, because at the end of the day, sometimes these women want a little bit of peace away from their man.
I think she appreciates sometimes the peace and the quiet.
That's why
absolutely.
I don't think there's a bad, I don't think it's a negative, it's a bonus, because she's thinking, hang on a second, where else am I going to find a man who's got so much interest to go all over the world?
Yeah.
Because you know what? I've not visited any of these countries ever, and I'm just like, wow, when will I ever get to do this? And my missus, every time I say to my wife, like, go on holiday, she's like, I have to visit my family. So we always go to Slovakia twice a year. I haven't been on holiday with her ever in any of the other countries. We always go to Slovakia to visit her family.
Right.
So I said to her, do you know what? I don't want to go. You go on your own, because we always seem to go there. But I have not gone to the beach, or I've not gone to a holiday with you. We keep ending up in Slovakia. So.
I just feel terribly guilty when we talk about holidays. Certainly me and my wife. It's different when I'm going away with my mates and we're going to a particular destination. But with my wife, she'll say, wow, do you fancy here or do you fancy there? And whenever she suggests anything, it's, for me, the first thing that comes into my head is, what am I going to see there? And if there's no birds that I think I could see there, then I'm like, nah, it's pointless going there. It's a lovely holiday for you, don't get me wrong, but what am I going to get out of it?
Yeah.
She says, oh, you're going to have a nice holiday. I said, yeah, I'll be bored, it'll be this. I like to go somewhere where at least I can see a new bird.
Do you get a bit of a thrill when you know you're going to see a different type of bird then?
Oh, without doubt, yeah.
How old was you, Neil, when you first made your solo travel on your own across
Europe?
Out of
14, 15
Was it?
in Europe, in the summer holidays of, I think it was 84. Was it 84? I would have been in 84. Summer of 84, I would have been 15. Went to Europe. Didn't tell mum and dad. Just hitched down to Dover and got in a truck, went across, and just birded to Camargue in southern France.
Did you have information that there was going to be a specific bird?
But it wasn't for a particular bird. It was just sort of general bird watching, you know, from a different country. And then at 17, I remember I was having a conversation over dinner with mum and dad, and I was going through a bit of a rebellious stage, as every teenager does. And my mum just said to me, you know, what do you want for your birthday? And it would have been my 18th birthday in the November, and this was like, I don't know, March, I think it was, March, April. And I looked at my mum in the eye, and I feel terrible about it these days, because I love my parents dearly, he's not here anymore. But I just said to them, I just want to get away from you guys as quick as I can. And she went, what do you mean? I said, I'm just fed up, I just want to go as far away as I can. And she knew I was no good at school because bird watching had taken over my life like a drug, you know, essentially. And it's not a pastime, it's a bloody disease. That's the problem with it. You don't just do it, it infects you, and you can't cure it. So I just said, I want to get away from you guys and go as far away as I can. And she was like, oh, and we carried on having our Sunday dinner almost. And then it was in August of that same year, so it'd be August 84. She came home from work and she put an envelope in front of me at the table. And I went, what's that? And she went, well, it's what you wanted. And I went, how do you mean what I wanted? And they opened this envelope. And I went, it's a bloody ticket to Australia. And she said, well, you said you wanted to be as far away from us as you can. And said, that's about as far as you can go. And I went, it doesn't come back for a year. And she went, well, you've got to spend time. And I think she knew, my mum was a real bright spark, to be fair. She knew I wasn't going to go to university. So she thought, this guy's got to learn from life experiences and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, bloody hell. And I was like, so in one hand, I was a bit shocked that what I'd said they'd taken seriously, because often parents be just talking nonsense. So in September of '84, I went off to Australia, and before I even got to Liverpool, in fact, I got the train from Ainsdale, I'd lost one of my bags, so that didn't go down well. And then I got train down to Houston, then the tube out to Heathrow, and I got on an Air India flight, which took about 38 hours to get to Australia.
Wow.
It was just stopping everywhere. I can remember actually, it took off from London. It went London, Frankfurt, Geneva, Rome, then Delhi. And where did I go after Delhi? Oh, Bombay, beg your pardon. Bombay, Perth, Sydney. It took ages. And then once I landed in Sydney, I stuck my thumb out and I hitched from Sydney right up to the top end of Queensland to Cape Trib near Cairns, across Northern Territory, down through Alice Springs. 15. No, 17. 17.
Wow.
Down
So
through
really
Alice
young.
Springs, yeah. Southern Australia, Victoria, back up to Sydney.
You spent a year there.
I took
backpacking.
8 months there. And then I left Australia and flew to India and had 4 months in India and just bummed around
How
India
was
for
India
4
like
months. Loved
for
it.
you at that young age?
Loved it.
You loved it.
Loved it. Been back since, and it's the one place that I'm desperate to take my wife to.
Really? She's
Yeah.
never been?
Never been to India. She's fearful of it.
And
Because
where
it's
did you
hard.
travel in India? I mean, when you were there, like this, India's vast. I mean,
Oh,
you've got
it's huge.
Himalayan mountains and
Yeah, well,
Srinagar.
I've been up to the Himalayas.
You've been to Himalaya. Did you go to the Kashmir, like Srinagar?
No, that's on the west, isn't it?
Srinagar is a very English
Yeah, that's
sort
on
of
the
thing where
Pakistani border,
they
isn't
basically built the railroads.
That's right, yeah.
The British built it, and they've got a British, like, I won't say it's a palace, but
Yeah.
the Viceroy, he built a beautiful bloody English building house, like a mansion.
Yeah.
And he used to go there every summer to chill.
Yeah, that's
with
up
his wife and
northwest
kids.
India.
All the train.
Be
and all
interesting
that,
to
yeah.
go there.
That's basically our kingdom, innit?
it?
My ancestors used to
Amazing
rule
place.
this place.
India's just great.
So
But,
I've-
I mean, nothing's finished.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Everything looks great, but when you try to use something, often nothing
It's
works.
ancient, isn't it? It's been built by the British from hundreds of years ago. Even that rail network is built by the British. The roads are built by the British.
Well, he owns it, didn't he?
Well, they built it.
Well, they
but
occupied it,
It's
I
not. It's not basically they built it to develop the country. They built it to extract to rob it.
Yeah,
All its stuff.
yeah.
So basically, all that infrastructure is there, so they can extract all the wealth out of there to the ships, and that's why they built it, because they had no other way to get it out. So
It's just wonderful. I had a mate who died out there, and it was in northeast India, so on the opposite side to where you're talking
you
about.
see golden eagles there, a lot of golden
Oh
eagles.
yeah, but they're
Massive.
common. I class them as common. We can see them here.
Yeah,
We see
no,
them
but
here.
no, they're gigantic though.
Yeah.
In India, I used to be a kid, and was left there at the age of 8 to study. And when I used to be in the assembly, I used to see these 2-3 eagles. They had a massive nest on a very high tree. So where we sit in the assembly in the school, and the outside is baking hot, I look at these eagles, and sometimes they used to spread their
huge,
wings, and their wingspan was.
Can you see them in
massive.
England?
Yeah.
Not like these. Their wingspan, trust me, bigger than this table, wide, like way wider. And bro, they would come down and they'll grab things and they'll take it all.
Do you know,
Like lift it up like goat. They'll pick up a whole goat and
yeah, I know
take
they can
it.
do
There was
all
a
that.
bird up in Dunsop. You know Dunsop? So in Lancashire, there's a place called Dunsop Bridge. And a few years ago, there was a pair of eagle owls there, which aren't native to Britain. And there's a few pairs
Eagle
breeding
owls.
around the country, but they believe that they've all escaped from somewhere. But this particular pair up at Dunsop Bridge, they were taking people's dogs when they were taking the dogs for a walk, and they'd come down, pick the collie dog up, whatever, and take it back to the nest. So it caused outrage, and I think they ended up getting shot.
Yeah.
Because they were
that's
taking the
Because
dogs.
we used to
like-
see parrots, loads
Yeah,
of
yeah,
beautiful parrots
yeah.
as well. And we believe that parrots are birds of heaven, because it's told us that they're special birds. God has
Yeah.
put these birds because they can talk as well. So they're special birds. God has given us examples of certain beauties, things that we're going to have in heaven. So these are some of heavenly birds, we call them. But they have so many different colours,
Yeah,
blue and yellow, green, so many multicoloured, and they're beautiful, pink even, and
Yeah,
white.
yeah.
But, you know,
Talking of heavenly birds, I went to Madeira a couple of years ago. Took my wife, And there's a bird on Madeira, which you've got the Canary Islands, haven't you? And then there's this little island by itself called Madeira.
Madeira's lovely, isn't it?
It's beautiful,
lovely, yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Now, the thing with it is it's a very mountainous island. And there's a bird there that only occurs on Madeira and nowhere else in the world. And it's called a Zinno's petrel. And this thing breeds high up. It's a seabird, spends all its day at sea, but breeds in the high mountains in little rocky crevices.
Like on the edge, so it's out of danger,
incredible.
Like a hole in the mountain.
Absolutely incredible. And it used to be called, I think it was called a friery. It was a word, but the friery means none in Spanish, or in Portuguese in none. And underneath where this bird breeds, there used to be a convent with the nuns. And these birds are white underneath of a grey shawl. And they used to call these birds the frieries because they looked like the nuns that came to the island to escape the pirates in something like 1566.
To escape the pirates? What were the
pirates?
Oh, those are pirates.
Pirates, yeah. So they made this monastery down below. And these birds got called after the nuns. And they believed that the shepherds, there used to be shepherds doing sheep up top. And these birds would call at the night. They had this really strange call, like a woo, almost ghostly.
Yeah.
But the people thought that they were the shepherds' souls. So the shepherds who had died up in the mountains would do this call, and they didn't know what these birds were for years. They didn't even know the birds that was making the noise.
So it's actually the birds making the noise.
And it was the birds making the noise. But to get to them, you've got to go up at like 1 in the morning.
Did you go up?
And went up into the mountains at 1 in the morning, full of gin and tonic, may I add, just to make things more interesting, just to see this one bird. And that's the only reason why. Well, we went to Madeira for a nice holiday, but the main reason was to see this bird called the Zinno's petrel, do some seabirds.
When you after your 1 year travelling Australia, India, and you come back to Britain, did that give you the bug for it even more than to just get out again?
Yeah, it did, and I met my wife. I was going to say, unfortunately, I met my wife, because that was like the end of it in a way. But yeah, I got back from India in a February, I think it was, February 1986, and I met my wife, and I told her, not to get serious, don't want to get serious, can't do this because I've got stuff to do. I'm going to the States in 4 months for 3 months, and she was like, yeah, no worries, so off I'll go again. And I'd speak to my mum every now and again. I didn't have mobiles back then. And my mum would say, that girl keeps ringing up and all that. And I think, how can she stay interested in someone who's not even there, And then I came back from the States and we got married in 87. So yeah, nearly 40 years ago. Had children quite young, because they're now well into the 30s.
Are they, if you don't mind me asking, are they into the bird?
No, but my daughter, she's quite similar to me and she likes nature. Yeah. But she can't, I was going to say she can't really afford to travel. If she could, she would. But I know she went to, well, here's another problem with bird watching, it takes you off to fall all over the place, doesn't it? But she went off to Kenya with her husband-to-be, and she came back with typhoid. So, I mean, unbelievable. But, and that, she nearly died from that. But of course, before she went, I was giving her all the top tips and about trips and what not to do and what you should do when travelling, especially to countries where there is imminent danger of diseases and stuff. And she just totally ignored all my advice. So anyway, she came back from Kenya with typhoid, nearly died, and still suffers today, and that's 15 years later.
Wow. She's never been able to be there.
She's never recovered from typhoid.
No.
I think it's almost like malaria where it stays in your system forever. So she's lost all her hair.
Well, you've had a few near misses, haven't you?
I've had a lot of near misses.
If you want to explain a fair few of them, like.
I mean, I suppose there's been certain trips where I think there's been 3 particular experiences where I've thought I'm not going home. And I've been lucky because I've friends who have died while I've been looking for birds through trips, or some of them have been murdered.
Wow, it's really...
But
So you go into like really remote areas which are dangerous,
totally
right?
off the beaten track. I mean, that's where the birds are, so you just go for the birds, don't you?
And you've had friends murdered?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you mind
I had a
like
friend.
us asking about some certain sort of, or do you reckon they're a bit too sensitive for you to talk about on camera?
No.
Do you mind
I had
sharing like
yeah.
certain experiences, if you don't mind us asking? Like,
Yeah, at Mexico, we've had a few. So Mexico was one of those ones where we just thought we're not coming home here. There's 5 of us, and we're in the central Mexican highlands, and it's really on the route from South America up to North America, and one of the big drugs routes. Pan American Highway goes right the way through. We were birding in the central highlands of Mexico, so well away from the likes of Cancun or anything like that, just out in the sticks. And we were birding near a place called Palenque, and we'd gone out for our day's birding, and we parked the car up and we just went into the forest on this small animal track. So we just on this track, and we came across what you call a bird wave, which is a group of birds which is feeding ferociously on insects or whatever, moving through the forest. And as the small birds move through, they disturb more and more insects. So behind them come larger birds, and then behind them larger birds, and then till you get to the back of the queue, which is birds that are feeding on the birds in front of them, as opposed to insects. So all just, and this bird wave was just increasing and increasing and increasing, quite exciting for a birder. Anyway, so we just followed this bird swarm, if you will, for about 5 kilometres through dense, thick, forests in central Mexico, absolutely wonderful. And we came to a clearing, and it would be about the size of half a football field, something like that. And we're looking around the edges, and there's birds everywhere, and it's just like, bloody hell, this is brilliant, And we're watching, we're draped, I've got a pair of Leicas on, binoculars, I've got a big camera, big lens on it, and we all are tripods, telescopes, all that sort of stuff.
so you can tell that you guys are equipped with your equipment.
Oh, it's pretty serious stuff, And we were in this...
And wearing all these like equipment, like Indiana Jones sort of boots and stuff.
all the khaki gear and boots and all that sort of stuff.
So like you're on a proper forest expedition.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant.
And we're in this.
And are these like literally like the movies when you see these these are like gigantic rainforest trees, right?
Yeah,
they're not
huge,
normal like
huge. It's not a woods.
Big wide,
like Ainsdale pines or anything like that.
Proper rainforest. Yeah,
incredible stuff.
Yeah,
and so we're in this clearing, and we turn around, and I sort of started looking around, and I thought, bloody hell, it's a crop. It's a marijuana crop.
No way. What? Wildly grown in the field?
Yeah. So say to the lads here and to the lads, and I said to the lads, Jesus, we're in a bloody crop. We're going to have to get out of here before we're seen. We're seen in the middle of Mexico in a marijuana field. And we turned to go back the way we came, and there was a guy stood there. It looked like Danny, Danny Trejo?
Yeah.
The Mexican, he pays all the badass Mexican guys.
Okay.
There's this guy stood there. It's this little boy who was about 8 years old, 9 years old. And he was stood across our little animal track that we'd walked in on. So we looked up, and he's looking at us, and we're going, amigo, paquiros, looking at the birds. And he's looking at that, and he's shaking his head and looking at the little boy, and the little boy's shaking his head.
So they're looking at you lot and shaking their heads like, what are you doing here?
What are these guys doing in our crop? What these Westerners, or English, well, as we got called later, gringo bastardas, later on. So they're looking at us, we're looking at them, we're going, paquiros, looking at the birds, and amigo, friend, all that sort of stuff. And we started walking towards them. And as we start walking towards them, this guy just starts screaming. I've got a little bit of knowledge of Spanish, but if it's spoken slowly and precisely, I can sort of understand. But when it's 100 miles an hour, and all this sort of stuff, I'm thinking, oh my God, I haven't got a clue what he's saying, but he's not happy, that sort of thing, So we just kept on approaching, and the sunlight is behind us, shining on their faces, if you
can't see.
And we got to within I don't know, 6 foot, 8 foot, fairly close, and we're just going, picayos, birds, amigo, just watching the birds, and this guy's shouting, and he wiggles the little boy's head. And as he stops and wiggles the boy's head, the little boy starts, Daddy, gringo bastardos, and he starts shouting at us. And we're thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do here? And we're thinking, the more they shout, the more attention might bring, and they're probably going to be more people.
Going to have a whole crew.
And we're thinking, oh my God. Barry, who unfortunately he's not alive anymore, but he says to me, we're going to have to jump on these guys and just fight and run. And we're saying, we can't do that. Barry says, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. We're in the drugs plot. They're going to kill us. Anyway, at that point, the guy draws a machete out of his machete bag. I don't know, a sheath, isn't it? Draws this machete out. And he starts waggling it like this. So it's effectively like a mirror.
Yeah.
So he's shining the sun into our eyes. So as the little boy is shouting at us, we're doing this because the light reflects into our eyes. And the little boy's going, he's laughing at us. The guy's just giving it death, you know. And it carries on. It must be, the whole episode must have been half an hour of us sort of going back and forth, and we're just going amigo, and we knew the seriousness of it. Anyway, after that period of time, the guy stands to the side and he points his machete to us and he goes like this, and it's only a single track thing. And I think, oh, and nobody wants to go first and nobody wants to go last. So I sort of like that, and I sort of huddled, not sort of in the middle, but anyway, the last one out, as we go through, he swipes his arm and he cut his arm, or it's this side actually, he cut his arm there with a gash of about, I don't know, 3 inches. So we had to go to Palenque and get it stitched up at the hospital in Palenque. We didn't say how it happened. Didn't want to draw any attention to anybody. But we were lucky, I think, because we could have been, so we hear of so many people going missing in the likes of Colombia. It's just settled down a bit now, but Colombia and Mexico, you know, not so much bandits, but cartel, drugs cartel.
Yeah.
And we thought, oh, I'm just gonna go down here.
Does it not even put you off, or
no,
just go back again, and then
no, not at all.
You're prepared for what potentially could come from it then, so you knew then, look, we could end up coming across people who are willing to kill us as we're going to remote parts.
You can in Liverpool city centre.
I know, yeah.
Can't you? Well, any Southport where I live, you know,
point,
just, well, you just can. We had an episode in Israel, which was, again, it was frightening in a sense, but it wasn't frightening because it was a stranger. This was military, and with military you think, oh, it's going to be all right anyway, but it just didn't sit right. And Israel at the time, and again at the moment actually, it's quite an unhappy country, always been an unhappy country.
Well, if it was any other military, you'd be all right, but Israeli military, you know, they unalive American, British journalists without giving a crap. And it's actually done by the British or American servicemen who actually have left England or America, born in those countries, gone to fight, and they have no value for life. That's what doesn't sit well with me.
The political aspect.
It doesn't sit well with me. I'm thinking, like, how do these foreigners get to go into foreign land to unalive people like they're paying COD and then come back as well? And they're actually killing their own people knowingly that this person from Britain or is a white person from America, and they're going to shoot them because what? Because they don't want them to spread the news out. Report it back to bring the truth to the world. So that's why they'll take them out. And that's why you feel uncertain there. In a country like that, even I would be scared.
How was the with you when you got there?
How
was the Israelis
the
with you?
experience of that?
And it's a funny old country, you know. Bird-wise, it's just stunning for birds. I mean, it's a really great birding destination. Politically, it's awful. And then the people are a mix. You go out into the small villages and towns and everyone's all right, but in the sort of major towns, everyone seems a bit suppressed and depressed, and there's a lot of guns. Everybody carries guns, and it's just one of those places. It's just you don't feel as if you got freedom.
So the poor places are good. You're saying
absolutely.
Anywhere where there's poverty and poor, where the Palestinians are.
And I think that's probably true in every country in the world.
So wherever there's poverty, i.e., if you're where the Palestinians are, you're welcomed.
Yeah.
But when you go to the big cities, which are regulated by the invaders, I would call them, because they're the foreigners, really. They're not the habitat of that land. They are from Europe, Poland, England, and America. When they are settled there, you feel your life is in danger. Okay, and do you know what that is? That's like blatantly, these people are not, they're not peaceful like they're portraying to the media. They're putting fear in even the foreigners who are coming there on holiday. They can't actually feel at
we've
peace
always get welcomed. I mean, there's so many occasions where we've been welcomed beyond any expectation. And very often we have no expectation, that's the thing. But the Israel thing was interesting. And it was a great day, to be honest with you, because we'd already we'd woken up, bizarrely enough, in some wigwams, because we hadn't organised any accommodation for the day before. And trying to find accommodation, I was just knocking on well, they weren't really houses, but knocking on what you just call loose accommodation out in the desert, asking people if we could stay in their houses. And this particular woman drew me a map, and basically it was a very sketchy map, and it was like 2 kilometres this way, 1 kilometre that way, 2 kilometres this way, go that way and you will see. And she was saying, how you say, because she couldn't speak English, but how do you say, and she's doing this, and I'm like, well, just go, how do you say, wigwam? I'm going, right, a wigwam, a teepee, a tent. And she's going, yeah, two tents here. And the map, there's no roads because we're in the desert, in the Negev desert. So we basically followed this map as best we could. And lo and behold, we came across these huge teepees, which must have been 60 foot tall.
So you actually found the destination, what you
like,
talked
oh my
about.
word, yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
we were able to stay there. It was a great night, to be honest with you, because you had some beer in the boot of the van. And we've got these teepees, found a guy. He came out and said, yeah, you can all stay in that one teepee.
And what are these,
brilliant.
were these like Arab sort of people?
Yeah,
who,
like Berber type.
Really?
Yeah.
And they helped you out? They've always been friendly
absolutely.
and showed you a lot of love and everything?
Well, what was bizarre about it, we got a fire going, and they had 2 posts sunk into the ground with a hammock. So one of my mates was in the hammock and he's got a beer, we've got this fire
Do you
going.
know, I see these stories all the
Just
time in the
great.
desert, and they've got like these little things, and in the tent, and they're cooking and tea. And it's like really like, they love doing that, these
Amazing
Arabs.
stuff.
Is it actually quite a good chill to do that and actually be in one of those desert nights, campfire?
Just mega.
I've never experienced that.
No, I'm just
We
listening.
managed to see wolf, which wolves are quite hard to see, but we had wolf there. But in the middle of the night, we were there, we're just sort of watching the skies, and then we see the tracers going over. I thought, bloody hell, we're right underneath the bomb zone from sort of Israel to Gaza.
You're underneath then, it's flying over your head.
I'm going, oh my God, what are we doing here? Anyway, so that's a different story. So following morning, we're up and we're out bird watching. And I'd done a bit of sort of work on trying to find particular birds called sand grouse, which are difficult. They need water. So they live in the desert, but they need water. So I'd gone onto Google Earth and I'd plotted and found these pools in the desert. And I've been doing it for like 8 months, trying to find out ones that didn't dry up and stuff like that. And I'd found what looked like permanent pools. So I said to the lads, this is where we've got, and I've marked them on the map. So we didn't have the likes of, Google on our phones and stuff. You had it on computers. But we had a proper map and I'd marked these dots on. When I was searching for these things on Google Earth, what I didn't realise was that the ponds were the effluent pools of a Palestinian prison. So Google Earth had blurred out the prison.
Right, okay.
For security stuff, I presume. So, of course, we'd travelled to these pools, not knowing that it was a Palestinian prison. It was a Keziot, the name of the prison, actually, it was Keziot. So, of course, we drive up to where these pools are supposed to be, and we just see in the distance this, like, Land Rover hurtling towards us, dust flying everywhere. Does
one of them army-type ones.
Big
Defenders.
handbrake turn and clouds of dust, and we're sort of sat, I'm driving, sort of sat there looking at these guys. As they go, this guy gets a shotgun, puts it on the dash of his car. The other guy grabs something, puts it behind his pocket, and he gets out. And he comes over to the van, really, really angry, asking us what we're doing.
He's angry at you guys.
Oh, really,
like
really
proper
angry.
trying to shout. Did he speak in English or?
First in Israeli, and then we don't understand, and then in broken English, you know. And his main things was cameras. Have you got cameras? And we're all going. Oh.
So he's shouting, what are you doing here? Where you got cameras?
Well, do they think you for surveillance?
Yeah.
They're thinking they're media,
spies, media, anything like that.
They know you're not Arab by looking at you. They know you're Caucasian and the way you're speaking that you're not.
So we're not local. We are not local.
Yeah.
So he's looking in the van and we're going, no cameras, and we're sort of heeling our cameras underneath the seats in the car. Anyway, he goes to the back and he opens the door and my friend's there and he's actually got a similar colour shirt onto this, but he's got his phone like that and he says, you, out. So he gets out of the car and he stood there and he goes, phone. The mic goes like that and he gets it and he goes, code. The mic puts his code and he's like this.
He's actually going through the phone?
Going through the photos. So if you take photographs of military in Israel, they just get banged up. So he's going through that and as he's doing it, he says, take off. And that Mike takes his jacket off and he goes, and he's continuing and he goes, off. And he goes, shoes.
So he's actually strip searching you now?
Strips him, absolutely.
He's got
naked.
no right to do that.
No, I don't need a right. When there's a gun.
Yeah. They've got no right to do that.
And he's just going through and he got everything off. And so Mike's poor lad stood there with his hands over his knob and he's like that looking.
Do you show him your English passport? Say, mate, I'm from England.
Oh, Christ, don't get anything out.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And anyway, so again, Barry's next to me. Barry turns around to me and he says, Neil, if they shoot Mike, drive. Because they shoot him, they're shooting us. I'm thinking, oh God, no one's going to get shot. We can't get shot. So anyway, this carries on. Anyway, after, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, but God, like that. He says, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And all that. So with birds, we're looking at birds. And he's going, no birds here, no birds here. Anyway, he says, you, in the car, he gives him his phone back. Mike gathers up all his clothes, gets back onto the back seat. Guy shuts the door and he says, away, no birds.
So you didn't let him put his clothes back on?
No, just go back in the car.
Grabs his clothes, chucked them in, you get in the car, go naked, like, drive.
Fucking hell.
Drive. So, of course, we then start driving.
How horrible are Israelis then, really?
Oh, it's awful.
They treat you like basically you're dirt on their foot.
Yeah.
Basically, they got no human etiquette of rights for humans. They just think that they think you're a piece of shit and they can treat you how they want. And they don't care. There's no value for humanity there.
Yeah, but that's not all of them. I mean, we met lots and lots of nice people, as I say.
They're persecuting the whites at the moment, aren't they, as well? The Israelis, the Jews, the whites.
They're not, though, because they take the money from England and America, but then they shit on English and Americans. That's not right, man.
Anyway, fuck all that.
That's the political side of it, isn't it? Yeah, so we were only there for one thing, and that's the birds. And because of that, we're now in the van. We start driving, and suddenly it's really funny, isn't it? Because the poor lad was shitting himself, and we were all shitting ourselves. But now it's okay, isn't it?
You can laugh about it now because you've
laughed
got
about
away.
it.
It's more of a nervous laughter, though, isn't it?
Within 30 seconds of driving and laughing, the first question is, how are we going to see these birds? So we looked ahead of us and we could see in the distance, around a couple of kilometres away, there's a big stand of like acacias, trees. And we thought, right, we'll just boom the van into that, cover the van, and we'll go back in on foot and find these pools. Yeah.
So you still went back on foot? Did you?
So we banged the van in, covered it with the acacias, all 4 or 5 of us off, and we went back in on foot to find these pools next to the prison. And we found the pools. And we found in the pools, we found the birds that we were after. We've got all the birds, load of photos, back to the van. And
so you didn't get spotted then?
Didn't get spotted.
Imagine they spotted you this time. They're like, something's fishy now.
Yeah, you would have been killed that time, like.
Yeah, crazy.
No way. Can you imagine, like, because the way they show it, like, they'll make you stand with your head up and then it'll just bang,
it'd be horrible.
From behind
you. And they'd show it, wouldn't they?
They'll just bulldozer you into a hole.
Has it only been humans you've had experiences with? I know you've had one with a snake, haven't you? Animals, sort of.
That's on a different continent.
That's what I was going to ask you, because when I watch these movies, like in the wild, like the jungles of South America, rainforests or in Africa, there's a lot of danger there. There's cobras, there's some dangerous snakes and wild beasts. Like you've got jaguars in South America, man. They're like supposed to have.
Well, the thing is, as a birder, you're not just a bird watcher, are you? You're basically a nature freak. So like seeing stuff like that is an absolute bonus.
Oh, really?
I mean, and sometimes better than them. I went up to Shetland a couple of years back. A bird turned up on Shetland, and I was like, bloody hell, I've got to go. So jumped in the car, drove up to Aberdeen, got a boat over, all this sort of stuff to get to see this bird. But while we were on the trip, we had a pod of killer whales, and the killer whales were better than the bird.
Yeah,
even though my thing's birds, but I mean the bird, mega rare, but the killer whales are far better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes.
And they're smart as well. They're one of the smartest sea creatures after the dolphin, but they're very clever.
But the snake thing, that was in Costa Rica. And we're at a place called Arenal. You might have seen photos. It's like one of these perfect volcanoes, which just looks like a perfect volcano over like this. And we'd been birding around Arenal, Observatory Lodge, and at the lodge itself they've got this tower. It's about 100 feet tall, 30 metre tall tower, about 500 steps going all the way up it. And I was going up to get a perfect view over the top of the canopies of the forest, looking for birds of prey and stuff. And I was sort of approaching the top, and then I heard this voice, and it was, I think it was a Danish woman who was she above us or below us? Anyway, this woman, she just shouted at me and she said, snake 3 meters above your head. And I was like, oh, right. So I'm thinking there's a snake 3 meters above my head. But what she meant was there was a 3 meter snake above my head. So I got it the wrong way round. So I took another step up, and then she started shouting, it's striking. And I could feel this, I had a hat on, but I could feel this on my head, this tapping. And I'm like, bloody hell, because I didn't know what it was. I knew it was a snake. From what I knew, it was a 3 meter snake. So I sort of do that, and I look up, and there's this big black and yellow snake, and it's giving it that on top of my head. And I thought, oh my God. So first thing I do is get my camera out and get some photos of it, because it's seeing any sort of animal's brilliant anyway. So I took a load of photos of this snake, and it went off back into the trees, you know. Went to the top of the tower, carried on birding, and the lady, she must have been below me, because she came up top and she was saying, is your head all right? I said, oh, I don't know, whatever. I just could feel it tapping.
So he just tapped you, he didn't bite?
Well, when I got to the bottom, my wife was down at the bottom, and I took my hat on. As you can see, I've not got any hair on the top of my head, but I said, are there any marks there? And she said, I can't see any. She said, there's definitely no little blood marks or anything, because I didn't know whether it was venomous or non-venomous.
No, I think it was a python.
And it was a neotropical bird eating snake. That's what it was called. Yeah. So I took the photos, and then I went to like the centre of the park, this the visitor centre, if you will, and I found one of the rangers there. Showed him the photos of the snake. Said, is it venomous, non-venomous? And he said, oh no, non-venomous.
Perfect, yeah.
But it gets the heart racing.
Yeah, I'm scared of reptiles, man. Especially snakes, and I think snakes I would be scared of, but alligators and crocodiles as well. Yeah,
you must have had
scary, isn't it?
in the jungles as well. You must have seen, like, was it panthers, leopard? Was it what goes in the tigers, anything like that?
Oh, we went looking for tigers. My friend got eaten by a tiger.
What, your friend?
Your mate did?
Yeah.
Well, in India?
In India, yeah, in a place called Ranthambore. So, I mean, this is years ago. I knew this guy. He had the same name as me, actually. His name was Hunt, David Hunt. And he was a bird watcher in the sort of 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I think he died, I think it's the early 90s when he got eaten. And he was out in India at Ranthambore with a group of birders, and he heard a tiger coughing, because he obviously did have this like a loose roar, not like a lion, but they go do this noise.
Yeah, it's like a coughing. Yeah.
They'd heard this noise, and David said to his group, I'll just go and have a look. see if I can see it, so everyone can else, because it'd be mega to see a tiger. I've looked and failed. And he went up a rise, an embankment, and over to the embankment. Anyway, he got over the embankment, and he could see the tigress ahead of him, like 40, 50 feet away. And he was like, bloody hell, and the tiger was eyes on him, his eyes on the tiger. And then she's going, looking like that. And he looks at the tiger, and then he thinks, oh, it's not looking so good, because he looks that way. And then he stands, and he turns around, and the cubs are behind him.
Oh,
and he'd come up between the tigress and the cubs.
Oh,
and within 10 seconds, she was just on him. And
she thought harm to her babies, basically, so she took him out.
Killed him.
Wow.
Yeah, killed him. And the rest of the group, they could hear what, stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then eventually they went up
You
and
should have
found
went
the
the
remains.
other direction, like, if he's in between, you just come the side way, like, say, listen,
You
there's
just wouldn't
no...
want it though, would you?
Wow.
I was looking for tigers
So when you go
about
to,
6
like,
years ago.
Sorry to interrupt you. I mean, when you're in India, in a place like that, surely you'll have to have a gun with you, right? You can't go into the wild without a gun. I'm just saying, like, even in South America, I mean, when you're going on these wild expeditions in the rainforest sort of jungle areas, like, you might come across a wild beast, like God knows what animal. You need a gun, man. I don't think it's safe for somebody to travel.
The jungle's actually as dangerous as films that make them out, or the
more than that.
I think they are
more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like your tropical forests, you know what the world's biggest killer is? Mosquitoes, isn't it? And a lot of those, and there's things like, dengue fever, yellow fever, typhoid, there's all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've a mate of mine, he come back from, I think he'd been in Chile and Argentina, and he'd been home about 3 months. And we were sat in a pub in Southport, having a pint, and we were chatting about his trip, and we're chatting there, and I'm looking at him, and he's bald like me, and I'm looking at him, and I said to him, what's that? He said, what's what? I said, that spot on your head. And he said, oh, I've had it months since I come back. And I went, have you been to the doctor's? And he was like, oh yeah, they just said it's a pimple, Anyway, as we're chatting, I'm watching it, and it starts, little thing sticks out of his head like that. And I went, Paul, there's a bloody maggot coming out your head. So we took it. Anyway, it was a botfly, a botfly larva.
Yeah.
So I went, rushed up to the bar and said, give us a shot glass there. So we put a shot glass over his head, and this botfly larva actually came out of his head, about this size. And we put it in a jar. The pub were made up because they thought it was like just brilliant. And he got this botfly. I actually tweeted it out saying, how cool is this? Like, friends having a pint in the pub and the botflies come out of his head. And I got a tweet back from a girl in Liverpool who was doing university. She was doing a degree at Tropical School of Medicine. And she was doing a talk on botflies the next day and asking, couldn't we use your image during my talk tomorrow on botflies? I was like, yeah. Well, it's just bizarre. But I'd say they're dangerous places. I mean, things like chiggers, you've got leeches, anything that gets into your blood can give you something nasty. You can catch stuff.
It's a dangerous game. You're in.
What about Africa? You've been South Africa?
I have not been to South Africa. I've not been to East Africa. I've been to Gambia.
That you want to Gambia? I heard.
Been Gambia, Morocco, obviously in Africa as well. But yeah.
How are the African people like with you?
All good. But if they were the places I've been in Africa, Gambia is predominantly Portuguese.
What about
French.
Zambia?
No, the only two places Gambia.
And I've heard South Africa is really beautiful.
I fancy it. I fancy
really
South
beautiful, and there's the sunrise is there.
Yeah.
Someone said to me, "Abe, you see the sunrise there, you won't want to come back to England." I said, "Really?" He goes, "Trust me." He goes, "When I come here, I bring my whole wife and kids here." And he goes, "I spent 6 months here easy. I don't even want to come back." He goes, "I spent ages here with my children, and then we come back, and then I think, what the hell have I come back to this cold country? It's all terrible. I want to come back here." So I save up and now bugger off again. And he goes, he told me this, and I thought, do you know what? I really got to visit South Africa.
Have you had any near misses across Europe when you've been across all there?
No, Europe's quite laid back, isn't it? I suppose the nearest place is where I've sort of had issues with Morocco, I suppose. Yeah.
How was Yugoslavia?
Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia. God, I went there in mid-80s. And again, it was different then. It's all split up since then.
Is that near Bosnia and all that, isn't it? So you've been all that territory, sort of. I heard it's really nice there, Bosnia. It's beautiful
part of the world.
It's like green mountains and rivers,
you know.
and it's supposed to be beautiful.
I suppose it's changed a lot since then.
Do you see yourself retiring from it? Or is it just going to be...
Getting worse.
It's a lifetime passion.
I was just saying, I've applied to reduce my hours in work to go to a 36-hour week.
You were saying that a while back.
3-day week,
Yeah, you were saying that.
And if I get that, it'll just open up more opportunities, won't it, to go.
What is it a thing, like, every single week you're looking for the next place to go, or is there ever an off switch where you go, you know what, I'll take like 2 weeks off now, and I won't do nothing for 2 weeks, or...
Oh, God, no.
Is it one of them things you can't switch off?
No. Well, I'm always
because if
thinking
an
about
exotic
the next thing.
Bird pops up somewhere, you can't miss it, can you?
No.
Yeah.
Well, this guy, years ago, he set up a thing called the UK 400 Club.
Yeah.
And that was for people who'd seen 400 species of bird in Britain. And to do that was hard. I mean, really hard to see 400. Now, I mean, I'm on 550 in Britain.
Is that one of the most
Which
out
is
of everyone
one of the
Britain,
most, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you must be a big name and then in the twitching scene, mustn't you?
Well, in a sense. I know we're all connected. That's the thing. It's like Liverpool top of the league now, aren't they, in the Premiership, and they've got all the other leagues, then you've got all the county leagues and Sunday leagues and all that. I mean, in Britain, there's about 40,000 bird watchers.
Oh,
and,
really?
and I'm in like the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Of well, depending on what
so
list
you're one
you
of the
look
top
at.
10s, really?
Yeah.
So you're quite renowned in that bird watch
Yeah, I know
community.
everyone. Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that's kind of, so you're, what I was going to ask you now is like to finish it off, obviously, but your life's work so far, since you started from, you know, when you were 14, sort of 11, sort of, from a very young kid to now, you've dedicated your life to this now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Photos, everything, with memories of so many different experiences, going through danger, even with threat to life.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth something. And I was going to ask you that you've obviously collected photographs, right?
Yeah.
From ages ago to now.
Yeah.
Obviously, technology changes, camera quality
Makes it
becomes
easier.
better, technologies have become better, but age isn't. So that's a bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
However, experience and knowledge beats a lot of things, even though you might be aging. So I was going to say now, surely you should be able to compile a beautiful book with your journey. Have you ever thought of that?
I have.
With photographs and where you took these, where they are placed, in which part of the world. Surely you can come out with a beautiful book with many exotic birds from all over the world, which you don't have to share pictures from the internet. All your work for you have physically taken these pictures.
However,
you thought of that?
I'm not alone in what I do.
I know
there are hundreds of people, and not just in Britain, but around the globe who do what I do.
I know.
And there's lots of books like that. And I don't think any of my stories are special.
It doesn't need to. Okay, so it might, even better than a book then, you should have some sort of digital record online.
Yeah,
because
I should.
Because do you know what it is? You've spent your life doing this. A lot of money, a lot of your heart and passion has gone into this. There's other people like you who are young on their journey, who might take inspiration. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Now, you're somebody who's got a lot of experience from a kid. What I'm saying is, forget the book, online, upload and write a report on every, maybe you should do something like that. It's like an online journal with images and statements. Because it leaves something for people who share the same passion as yourself, who might be very young on their journey and saying, I want to do what this guy's done. I want to visit that part of the world. I want to visit there. So I'm just saying that maybe this is something that you should do, because at the end of the day, it's something that I'm thinking, you've spent a long time doing this, and it's only fair that you make it public for other passionate people. Because
I'm sure you're right.
It gives you something back, because, I just think that you've dedicated all your life and it's for your own satisfaction, but there's people like that and it's not fair. Like you should make it available because not everyone is fortunate and lucky like you that they can travel.
I'm probably just selfish. I know I'm probably selfish, and not only that, I probably think all the time that I might dedicate to doing something like that, I could be out birding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Before we wrap it up, anything you want to say to people who are going to get into birding or twitching?
Oh, they should. They should. Oh, I mean, I started it as it was all about the birds, I suppose. The passion was birds. But within that passion, it just spreads out. So, you know, I'm just looking at the list of countries I've been there, you know, in my lifetime.
Just reel a few of them off then
Just
before you go.
Twice to Australia, twice to India, 4 times to Thailand, 3 times to Malaysia, Japan, twice to Morocco. I've been to every European country, Israel, Turkey, the States, Costa Rica, Mexico. I mean, I've watched France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Gambia, Madeira, Canaries, Cuba, Yugoslavia, just hundreds. I wouldn't have gone to any of those countries if it wasn't for the birds.
No, well-travelled.
I want to go and see that bird. I want to go and see that bird. So the whole bird thing then takes you into travel, which takes you into cultures, which takes you into food. And, you know, some of the countries I've been to and the welcomes we've had, especially in India, we had some incredible reception in India, in little towns. And you just think, God, and then I come home and it's back to work, isn't it? Yeah. And work's great. I mean, I love work because it funds what I like to do. And without the work, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Neil, I genuinely think, I genuinely think if you were to create something online, it'll give you revenue. You won't need to rely on the work then.
No, you want to see the wages on now? Huh? You want to see the wages on now?
60 hours last week.
Was he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Nights, wasn't it?
Yeah, days. I
was on night. I had just come off my nights there. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there.
60 hours, nice.
Neil, nice one.
It's been a pleasure.
Nice one. You're welcome. You're welcome.